This video isn't meant to be a tutorial on Blender, nor is it meant to be a complete simulation of the moon. Rather, it's just meant to illustrate how Blender can be used to understand how light interacts with objects. When you first start Blender, it looks like this. We want to replace this cube with a sphere, which will be the moon. To do that, hit X, and do Shift-A, Mesh UV Sphere. We want it to be a high resolution sphere, so we go over to here and we change multiple of these numbers by 4, make it 128 by 64. We want it to be smooth, so under shading we hit smooth. We now have a smooth sphere in the center of the screen. Let's switch to the top view. And in the lower right hand corner we have the camera. We want the camera to be at the bottom of the screen looking up. To do that, we can reset the location and rotation. And now we want to move it down 8 units. So we do that by doing G y minus 8 and rotate around the x-axis 90 degrees. And so now the camera is looking up at the sphere. The orthographic view is generally easier to understand in cases like this. So we hit 5 on the numeric keypad, and this is the orthographic view looking top down. You're probably curious what this looks like from the camera's perspective. In Blender, it's possible to split the screen to see two different views at once. So we're going to split the screen. And on the right side of the screen, we're going to switch to the camera view by hitting Insert. And if we do Shift-Z, will give us sort of a preview of what the final render would look like. And let's zoom in a bit more. All right, so this is different than what we expect. The dark side of the moon does not blend into a dark sky at all. Let's try the cycles render, since that's a more popular renderer. That's actually farther than we want in some ways, but it's fixable. So the problem is there's ambient lighting to the world lighting. This color right here, let's change it to pitch black by dragging this down. And this is getting closer. Now the dark side of the moon blends into the dark night sky. However, the lighting isn't quite right. We have a point light source over here on the left side, and what we want is for it to be a sunlight source where the light rays are parallel. So hit X to get rid of it. And we do Shift. And this time I'm going to add as a lamp, and sun, and the sun's rays are shining down on the moon, which isn't quite what we want because we want the terminal line to be vertical because we want the moon's axis to be vertical. So we're going to rotate the sun's rays around the x-axis 90 degrees. And now the sun's rays are parallel to the line of sight from the camera to the moon. Now, to demonstrate the phases, we can do rotate about the z-axis, or z. And I'm going to stop here on a quarter moon. It would be nice if the moon did have a bit of texture, so we could see that the shadows are most prominent near the terminal line, which on the moon corresponds to shadows of craters. To do that, we're going to select the moon, zoom in on a bit, switch to edit mode, deselect everything, go to the back side of it, pick a point, and switch to proportional editing. We want random, but you want to move all these points around randomly a bit. And now we go to scale, and we're actually going to increase the size of that circle since we want to affect all points somewhat equally. And now we're just going to move this a tiny bit. Maybe like so. All right. And now we've done that, we're going to switch back out of edit mode, switch back to top view, and select our camera, and do RZ to continue going through the phases. And now notice that the shadows are most prominent near the terminal line, just as it would be on the moon. And again, I'll stop here at quarter moon, and that's it.